So you got the shooting in El Paso and Dayton, right? Dayton, not Toledo. 22 people were killed in El Paso. 10 people, including the shooter, had been killed in Dayton. So there was a Eminem line, actually, that I had remembered or that I recalled, and I feel like it's pertinent. Somebody said, remember when they used to blame it on Maryland? So people want to sit there and put it on video games. If you think video games are too dangerous, then why would you think guns are okay? So there was the Eminem lyric in The Way I Am. He says, when a dude is getting bullied and shoots up the school and they blame it on Maryland and the heroin, but where were the parents at? Yeah, where were the parents at? And then look where it's at. Middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see. I heard that 5 people were killed in Detroit, I think. 5 people. There was, they said 42 people were shot, though. 5 killed, but 42 were shot. That's been happening for quite some time, but now look where it's at. Middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see an upper class having this happen. Think about the, not just shootings in the ghetto, but what about in Palestine? Think about the dead kids in the border. Think about the war in Venezuela. Think about, the 1 million Iraqis dead. We got a war in Syria. You mean we got 27 wars? We got 27. Remember there was a time in America when we were opposed to the one war we were in with Vietnam. Remember we were just, but now it's like, 27 wars, shit. Make it 54. Just have 100 wars, Just war wherever the hell you want a war. Yeah, no glorification of violence. So when a dude is getting bullied and shoots up the school, they blame it on Maryland and the heroin. But where are the parents at? And look where it's at, Middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see an upper class having this happen. And then they attack him and them because I rap this way. But I'm glad because they feed me the fuel that I need for the fire to burn. And it's burning and I have returned. Yet Neil deGrasse Tyson, he had tweeted some facts. And to add some context to this discussion, it is important. Because if it bleeds, it leads. If it's gory, it's a story. So there's 548 hours. You're going to have 500 people die of medical errors. And you're going to have 300 people over a span of 48 hours who die of the flu. So that means you got 800 people in a span of 48 hours who's dying of medical needs, medical costs. We need better doctors, better hospitals. So Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All would save 800 people, a day from dying of the flu. Nobody should be dying of the flu. 300 are dying of the flu. 500 are dying from medical errors. Or do the doctors not know what the hell they're doing? So, you're not supposed to pull the plug or suffocate. Hey, doctors, I don't know if you're, but so he's adding some context. People got mad. He apologized for hurting people's feelings, but he left a tweet up there, and we do need some context. Because if we had broadcasted 800 people dying of medical errors in the flu, and we treated it as just as important as the people who were died by gunshot wounds, then we would end this, 45,000 Americans who die every year because of no health insurance? That's pretty gross. That's pretty disgusting. But that's not as sexy, right? For the media, the infotainment, you got to have something sensational. So what? A person died, pitifully of the flu, lying in their bed. Medical error, a doctor messed up, the hospital, shit happens, right? So there's more, 250 suicide, 200 car accidents, and then 40 died by guns. So he says it's typical that 40 people died by guns within a span of 48 hours. And so, there's 32 that were shot, so actually it's less than the average. I'm sure there's probably other shots. But it's not to say that the gunshots are not important. They are important too. They're equally, each person, every life matters. So actually, a utilitarian would say, we need to save the people that are dying the most. The causes where people are dying the most of, we need to attack those causes. So 250 people in the span of 48 hours, 250 are going to kill themselves. I think about the, veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. 200 are going to die in car accidents, and then 40 are going to die on guns. Okay, so let's have a serious conversation about medical errors and flu. Well, I already solved that, right? Burning care. Well, let's talk about suicide. So suicide and car accidents, the flu, medical errors, these are way more deaths than gunshot wounds. So let's talk about suicide. Love each other, give a shit about each other, bake, have pizza party pies, have blueberry pies, have, blueberry pie parties. And then car accidents, some of those are suicidal too. So love, again, suicide, car accidents, also maybe have a culture of, just intelligent, smart driving. I think naked cities would be a good idea to get the car accidents down. Naked cities is where there's no law, and you have to watch out for each other. You got to drive, slow, essentially just stay on the right and keep moving. That's the only law in naked cities. So get rid of all the laws when it comes to the traffic, whatever. So just get rid of all the laws. People have to drive real slow through your town, and then they'll look at the town and they'll want to buy stuff, and people will look at each other in order to, cross the street. So it's not just regulated by lights and shit. It's actually people communicating, and we're interacting, and there's, a nice little dance going on. So that's what we could do if we're taking this serious. You want to be serious about lowering the amount of deaths in America? Okay, we could talk about the gun violence, but we also need to talk about the car accidents and the suicides and the medical errors and the flu, because they are killing, at a proportion, let's see, 800, 1,000. So you got 1,250 people who are dying, over 48 hours, more than the 40 people who are dying of guns. 1,250 is way more than 40. 40, God, I mean, that's what, just 4% of a 1,000. So, okay, we're going to just focus on 4% of all the deaths. No, let's actually focus on 96% of all the deaths. If you're being serious, then you need the data, you need the data, you need the information, and you need to have reliable information, and you need to know what the hell you're talking about. Because if you're just a gut reaction, ooh, I don't like that, that's icky, that needs to stop, gun control, yes, that's the only solution. That's one solution, that's a possible solution, but I have 4 ideas to attack the problem at the root, right? You got suicides too. So essentially suicides and gun violence, I feel like those people are suicidal. They didn't give a crap, they didn't give a shit if they were going to get shot or not. So it's, shocking that the one guy didn't get shot, the other guy did. So I think those are suicidal people. They're at their wits' end. They don't give a damn about themselves, so therefore they don't give a damn about other people. So suicide and gun violence, I think, actually would be tied together. So, people say mental health, and that's what? To label people as mentally crazy and shove them in an institution, that's the solution. I mean, what if that's, what if they're paranoid and that's the fear? And so, okay, to attack the problem at the root, you have, make society better. Make society better. So how are we going to make society better? I think the healthcare thing, actually, Bernie Care pretty much attacks those top 2 problems. We also can institute internet for everybody. We could declare a war on poverty. We could have community policing, and we can end violence on children and end child slave labor. There's child slave labor in America, and human trafficking, apparently. So end violence on children. Right? Violence begets violence. So I bet you if you look into a lot of these shooters past, they were, smacked as a child. And then community policing, because they set the example. So if cops are just fascist, violent assholes all the time, well, that's what a real man is, right? Just a violent, fascist ass. No, Andy Griffith is a real man. He just said, by his personality, by the respect of who he was in the community, that's how he solved all the problems. So we can fix our policing in violence upon children, have a war on poverty. Universal basic income is the only thing that's going to attack poverty at its root. That's a death sentence. When you're poor, you don't have, so many of the opportunities that everybody else has. So, internet for all, that keeps folks busy, so I think that actually would reduce violent crime if you got internet for everybody. They could read and educate themselves in today's information age. One should have a right to information. So that's actually that's the opposite of Donald's proposal. I'm saying, not cut internet, but get internet for everybody. So, war on poverty. So all this goes to the mental health of why are these people flipping out? Why are these people freaking out? This is America, so how come they're not enjoying themselves, right? There's so much around. It's plentiful. This country is plentiful for them to be suicidal and for them to, to either drive in a car, have a crazy car accident, or to off themselves, or to go out into a Walmart or a bar there's some, major issues there. There's a problem there. Humans are crazy. Humans are crazy, so I think that, that's something that people get mad at, stuff that they should get mad at, but they also get mad at very petty things, too. And getting mad, that makes you mad, right? And so we need a better conversation, more emotional intelligence, and, I think the stigma of counseling, as family and friends, we counsel each other. So the whole idea of just kind of shoving someone in an institution, we counsel each other. And so if the person isn't getting the love and respect that they need, you have William Glasser. He believes in reality-based therapy, and he says that 95% of all the problems in the world, all the things that look like crazy behavior, is actually the person's inability to communicate with somebody that they love. 95% of the world's problems. George Carlin said 95% of the world's problems is because of the stupid shit fathers do to their sons. So that goes to the child abuse. And so, in a culture of violence, it was okay when they were innocent and, alone and tiny. Humans are pathetic when they're babies. They are pathetic as we're going to be, Jungle Book. It's supposed to be a man at the end, do a man thing and be destructive of all the environment and everything that's around you. But, during the Jungle Book experience, that, little puny little body, they can't do nothing. What the crap? That's the king of the jungle right there. So that's 4 ideas that I think would actually attack the problem at the root, make society better, make it healthier, make it more helpful, make people give a damn about one another. If we actually, poverty is a wildfire, so unless we actually have an ambitious plan, someone said the barter system, which, no, land reform or universal basic income, perhaps the, collaboration of all Bernie's things, free college, free health care, free child care, and guaranteed jobs, perhaps that will be able, people will be able to lift themselves up out of poverty. UBI just gets rid of poverty that day it's instituted. The moment it's instituted, checks are passed out. What did you do with your $12,000? I cannot feel sorry for you no more. So it gets rid of poverty. If you're serious about getting rid of poverty, because, I don't know if these kids are poor or not. All right, so what do we got going on here? Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, Donald Trump. Beto O'Rourke and Donald Trump are exchanging tweets. Donald told Beto to be quiet. Oh, just be quiet. He said something about something. Beto said Donald's racism is the reason why the shooting in El Paso had happened. Beto O'Rourke has, been with his community, and he said El Paso does not welcome Donald, but apparently Donald's on his way. Donald's going to, make an appearance. But people say that actually could inflame things, make it worse. He's been racist the whole time, so he's got one advisor he's listening to that's not racist, and so that person just got elevated. I don't know who that not racist is, but, he's definitely leaning on that person. So, Joe Biden, actually all of them, even Bernie Sanders, they're all going to have some form of gun control. And I got, my issues with gun control. And then the death penalty, too. Like, I feel the liberals and progressives on both of these issues, but they're not, I don't feel like I'm being heard. And that's, goes to, part of my argument. Excuse me. So the death penalty, it's wrong for most cases, except for the most heinous cases, especially the murder of children, the vulnerable, the elderly. So the death penalty for these two folks, these two guys, is totally appropriate. And then that, I think, by, having the racist president put to death some racist shooters, that would heal the nation. That would give me, that would assuage me of some of my fears that he's a racist. Essentially, I feel like a lot of the stuff he is racialist, and he inflames a lot of shit, but he always relies on the truth. So he shits on Baltimore saying that it's, cockroach and rat infested, but it was the truth. And so if it's the truth, then you have to let it stand if it's the truth. So it might be racially motivated. It feels definitely, that way. But if he was able to put to death white supremacists, there's Dylan Rufus on death row, there's another person with white supremacy, so he puts those 4 people, gives them capital punishment, gives them the same punishment that they doled out to innocent people, so we're not wasting our money, housing them. I've actually heard that it's more expensive to put them to death than it, maybe, but maybe not, I don't know. So that's what the problem with the judicial branch or something, isn't it? So Joe Biden's going to take away the guns. He's the one that actually passed the assault weapons ban under where he was with Bill Clinton. So he's salivating over this. He can't wait to take the guns. And I feel like if one person, that was the only thing that they cared about was the Second Amendment. Because we have 50 freedoms, I think 53 freedoms is the total amount of legal freedoms that every American who lives in Colorado, because I combined the state constitution with the national constitution, but there's 53 freedoms for all Colorado Americans. But without police who are specifically trained to uphold the legal rights, I'm not really sure if I have any of those freedoms. And you're going to try to take my second freedom away? You're going to take the second freedom. When it comes to rights, the way that the law is you interpret them liberally if you actually think that they are rights. So the right to free speech means you get to yell and, you get to express yourself in so many different ways. It means you get to, the amount of freedom I get is infinite up until it infringes upon your freedom. And so that goes for, freedom to petition, right to peacefully assemble, right to keep soldiers out of our homes, right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, right to, not be in trouble for double jeopardy, and just a whole thing, a whole, slew of rights. 53 freedoms is how many legal freedoms we have. And I like my freedoms. And since I interpret them as liberal, but I'm not even for sure if I have any of them, I'm allowed to shout fuck, right? Wherever I go in America, I should just be allowed to go, fuck, fuck. It's just, whenever I want to. And the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. You want to change it, introduce a constitutional amendment, and get, 3/5 or 4/5 of the states to overturn it. Let's see how serious you are with your anti-freedom, anti-America, anti-constitutional bullshit. Introduce the constitutional amendment. You're being serious? You really want to curb these laws, and you got to go after the Second Amendment. And the only way you're going to undo an amendment is another amendment, right? The prohibition thing, then you pass, so it has to be an amendment. So, get all the states on board. Get all the states on board to change your Second Amendment. Then, we'll see if if all of America votes in favor of this amendment, then you got a winning case. That's, precisely like, yep, that was what we needed back then. It's not what we need now, so let's change things. So, there's three reasons: self-defense, freedom, and the many, many problems our society is not being addressed. The gun violence is a superficial thing. It's them losing their fucking shit. And I think, there's probably, going to be random shit that just pops off and there's nothing you can really do about it. But we can be a better society. We can bully less, try to fuck people over less, not be so shitty and, not be such gigantic assholes to one another. And so I don't, just be nicer, be better. That's, get that message out. That's just, it would be better for you, for everybody. It's just, come on, man, what's your problem? So, yeah, Joe Biden's going to take out the guns. The Democrats go gun control, gun control, gun control. Barack Obama actually was brave and stand up to the NRA and his beliefs. So he stood up for what he believed in and to the NRA in this racist country. It was the black president that was the president who took on mass gun shootings and said, politicized it, but, pretty logically, well, let's get rid of the guns that are, being used in these gun shootings. So it was common sense, and it was very, very brave. MSNBC spreads the fire of their gun control agenda bullshit in a nation run by Republicans with a Republican Senate. Not to change anything in the short term, but to get everybody all riled up and out of their minds with nowhere to go. Fox News spreads the fire of their thoughts and prayers bullshit agenda, a.k.a. do nothing agenda. So this is the same conversation over and over again. So at least we have an option. A lot of times it was just like, okay, no gun control, and then nothing was going to happen, right? People would talk about, oh, that's horrible, that's such tragic. But now people are politicized in every single one of these that happen. A lot of people are saying, oh, there's been thousands of them, and the way they interpret it, anyways, it doesn't. It is an American phenomenon. But I think there's some other shit that's going on. Dog-eat-dog capitalism, right? It's best if, I think it's best if we're all doing okay. But for some of the people that believe in capitalism, dog-eat-dog, so therefore, I got mine, and that's all that they care about. So for self-defense reasons, for the many, many problems that we're not addressing, the root, so just the superficialness, you could, cut back on weapons of war, so that way when people do lose their shit, if all they have around is just a pencil, then they have to do their damnedest by hurting somebody with a pencil. So, that would help with less overall, the body count would go down. But ultimately, there's a sickness that's going on that's pervasive in American society. It's supposed to be the happiest, the best, the greatest country in the world. We got so much shit here, right? So plentiful, and a lot of people are doing really, really good. So there's a reason why some people are just not happy. They're not happy, and they're pissed off, and they, for whatever reason, they buy into some bullshit ideology, and then they, it's terrorism. If you, attack a civilian population for political purposes. So the left is seriously advocating giving all of our guns to Donald Trump and his police. Is that the deal? Let's just give give all of our guns up to Donald. Man, that'll be the solution. The military and the police get to keep their guns, right? So there's some group of good guys with guns that you support. Those are the good guys with guns. So you do believe that good guy with guns stops. Okay. So just don a uniform, get a badge. Democrats are okay with you getting all the guns. If you're impersonating a police or a soldier, it doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Just take the nukes, take the tanks, take the grenade launchers. I'm sure anybody with a uniform on and a badge, they never committed any crimes. Well, Hugo Boss, they did form the uniforms for the Third Reich. Those were not very good uniformed men. Then North Korea, those men are uniformed too. I don't know. I don't feel like a uniform by itself actually makes, turns a good or bad man into a good or bad man. Now, I don't think it makes you into a good man, that's for sure. So I just, the verdict's still out on that. If anything, it might make them think that they're, fascist Nazi assholes. I don't know. Who knows? So, I'm sure they don't ever hurt anybody or commit any crimes. No assault, no violence, no rape, no murders. So just be fucking consistent, you goddamn pansies. You want to cower to authority so fucking quickly? Are you an American revolutionary? You would be defending the British redcoats, or you're a fascist bootlicker? So, if you say let's be like Mayberry and Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith is a police officer who did not have any weapons. He didn't carry a gun. If you're saying disarm the police, and you're saying end all these forever wars in the exact same breath as disarm the people, so disarm everybody, right? Everybody gets to be disarmed, because at least then you would have some understanding of the Second Amendment and what the Second Amendment stands for. The whole point to the Second Amendment, it's not for hunting, and it's not for, I don't even think it's just for, the whole point of it is to stop tyranny, to stop an oppressive government. The government cannot oppress an armed population. The Second Amendment is there to prevent tyranny. So, if anything, the liberals are woefully behind in their stockpiles compared to these crazed racists out here. Give it all to the right-wing Donald Trump, like people. You think that's smart? Give all the guns to them? What are they going to do with them? They're going to hide them? They're going to stockpile them? They're going to put them in their homes, distribute it to their racist cousins and shit? God. So gun control, death penalty, I feel like I'm with the Democrats mostly, but I feel like the Republicans, they got 1% or something. Death penalty most of the time should be bullshit, but if you kill kids, fuck you. If you kill a bunch of, 22 innocent people in El Paso, fuck you. Fuck you. You deserve the exact same, punishment that you did to those people. So, if anything, so if Donald put those El Paso and Dayton shooters to death, I've already mentioned this, but I think that would assuage me a little bit. I would think that, the gun control measures, that doesn't really do nothing for me. But if he actually does, put these guys to, a firing squad, these racist, murdering sons of bitches. Dylan Roof, too, there's another guy on death row in the federal penitentiary. So if he puts all those racists, to death, that would assuage my concerns of Donald's racism. And perhaps he has been fair. He's been trying to tell us he's been fair the whole time, so that would show an instance of fairness. But he's also the one that tried to put those, Central Park 5 in jail, had a full-page ad saying this, maybe we need hate because, they're guilty, so they need to, they need to fry. And I think it came out that they were innocent. So he's sitting there trying to push, the whole city to convict these innocent boys who are black and, brown. So because the Dems are saying Donald's a racist, if the racist offers evil, racist, murdering sons of bitches to a firing squad, then it's pretty anti-racist. So, Joe Biden. Now, when it comes to racism, right? Joe Biden's he's going to use death penalty and gun control. It's like you suck on healthcare, you suck on the economy, you suck on war and peace, and Joe Biden's going to offer these two little things because he's a fucking front runner. Just because he was the vice president, he speaks well, he's decent, showman. But Joe Biden is not a progressive. He's Hillary Clinton 2.0. He loves Dick Cheney and the white supremacist segregationist. So Joe Biden is anti-death penalty. Why? Because he thinks it's okay for people to go around doing these racist hate crimes. And then, Joe Biden's just wrong on so many things. So I know I'm attacking Joe from the right on, guns and death penalty. But here's, from the left. Are you ready? Joe Biden, when it comes to millennials, he's wrong on abortion, he's wrong on Comcast, he's wrong on civil forfeiture, he's wrong on single-payer health care, he's wrong on the big banks, he's the one that was in favor of the Glass-Steagall repeal, he's wrong on money and politics, on Venezuela, on integration by busing, on Social Security and Medicare, on the Green New Deal, on the bankruptcy laws, on student loans, on NSA wiretapping, the Patriot Act, and the Fourth Amendment, on TPP and NAFTA, on instant runoff voting, on prisons, on war and peace. He voted for the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War. On gay marriage, he was wrong. The 1994 crime bill, he was wrong. The war on drugs, he's wrong. He wants to escalate, kill the drug dealers, right? Not, the alcohol companies or the pharmaceutical companies, but the, street drugs, but not the corporate. But so he's inconsistent on regulation. He's bad on regulations, bad on welfare reform. He's bad, on keeping his hands to himself. He's old Grandpa Grope and Sniff. He ended the Me Too era. The fact that Joe Biden has been normalized, the Me Too era is over with and done with. That's it, I guess we've healed. So Joe Biden is wrong on just so many issues, right? Green New Deal, health care, bankruptcy laws for student loans, Patriot Act, Iraq War, Afghanistan War, prisons, instant runoff voting, TPP, NAFTA. So when it comes to racism, integration by busing, he was racist there. He's best friends with white supremacist segregationists. He loves Dick Cheney. So what? We're going to put Joe Biden's racism up against Donald's? Why don't we pick someone who's anti-racist? I mean, there's got to be somebody who's, stood up for the black people, that was actually arm in arm and maybe even got arrested for black folks, who's got Killer Mike as a champion and Cardi B. He can identify with, Killer Mike and Cardi B. So, maybe we could pick a candidate that's more like that. Joe Biden actually voted for the Iraq War, and his son is going to fight in the Iraq War, and he's going to die, I'm pretty sure, which would make him responsible for his own son's death. So what? Joe Biden's like God. He's like Abraham. He sacrificed Isaac. He sacrificed Jesus for what? Because he loved the people so much. It's not God-like. The test of a parent isn't whether or not you sacrifice your kid. The test of if you're a good parent is how well your kid does. So if you sacrificed your kid, well, that's the opposite of, being a parent. You didn't help the species at all whatsoever. So you're a bad human. You're a bad person. You're a bad parent. You're a bad father. You just, you're just dog shit. Joe's child followed Joe's vote for the Iraq War. I'll do you dad proud. I'll do you proud, Dad. So I'll actually look into that a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure that his son died in the Iraq War. And so last thing I'll mention is Kamala. It's Kamala or Kamala. No, it's not Kamala. It's Kamala. So you got to say Kam first, right? The emphasis is on Kam. So not Kamala Harris. It's Kamala. Kamala Harris. I hate it. Whatever it is, I don't like it. I'm going to name my kid Kamala just to correct the record on that. My kid's going to, they're going to use data, not data. Data sounds, that's the pretentious one, right? Which one's working class? I think data, right? Just, hey, where's your data at? Give me the data. Let's see the data. The data on the economic study? No, the economics. So my kids are going to, use the data to study economics. Not any of that pretentious. Well, I use data in my study of economics. So, yeah, that's my thought on the, gun control and the shootings and this whole conversation we're having right now. All right. Peace out, America.